Yo, what's going on everybody? You got Sketch here and welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a little bit of a minute, but between finals and everything else, took a little bit of a hiatus, but we are back. And on this episode, we're looking at an interesting case in the world of vertical shoot-em-ups that has gotten some attention from its dark undertones, coupled with some blisteringly punchy gameplay. We're checking out Angel at Dusk, developed by Akiragoya and published by Henteko Doujin, releasing to the PC in January of 2024 and getting a port to the Switch in November of 2024, which is the version we'll be looking at today. Though before we bang on too much more with that, let's check out the story. Around the year 2100 AD, man has created a new food source and makes progress in stabilizing the world's population and transforms all human life into angels. When the angels become sentient, some will begin to feel animosity and want to reintroduce the concept of pain. While some angels try to retain a sense of righteousness, others proceed to inflict pain on the masses. When the angels realize their kind is facing extinction, a holy war begins amongst good and evil, spanning millennia. Gameplay-wise, you've got a 2D vertical shooter where you'll journey through 5 stages of inner turmoil as you venture along the paths of body horror. You have a base shot and a charge shot, and some craft can drop screen clearing attacks that you can bank or rapidly dispense. The charge shot, besides laying down sustained damage, also clears most bullets in its path. However, not all bullets and projectiles can be erased, but they can be pushed out of the way. The charge shot here also has a few uses and can really come in clutch and has a rather quick cooldown time. Don't think you can rely solely on spamming the charge shot and rapid fire, since if you play the game's chronicle mode and climb the ranks beyond the game's initial 5 stages, enemies and bosses will not only outgun you, but have nothing but bullets you can't charge shot through. Throughout the normal game modes, with how fast you can charge your power shot and certain angels having overdrive and screen clearing attacks, you come out of the gate pretty powerful. You upgrade as you grab dropped icons from enemies, and collecting hearts and blood will refill your health and special meters while giving you level XP. You also gain more hit points as you level your angel, and each hit counts as a life. Once all those hearts are gone, it's game over with no continues. You have a hitbox indicator on your ship so you can see your vital point, and you're nimble, so dodging is pretty comfortable here even when things get pretty spicy. Enemies will rush you in waves, getting progressively larger and more horrific, many of which have life bars for appendages. Serving sauce like Isaac Clarke going limbs first will produce more item drops and increase your bonuses. Enemies will flood in mass, and bullet patterns will go from moderate to insane depending on difficulty, but you've mostly got all you need for any encounter. Bosses are all massive beasts with large life bars that function like cave bosses and switch to more aggressive attacks as they take more damage, so you'll see a fair bit of mix-ups. Bosses can also smoke you within a matter of moments if you're unlucky, but your flight speed and firepower can certainly spin the celestial block with confidence, until the halfway point when enemies and bosses are throwing everything at you, especially with its final encounter, which does change depending on which path you happen down during your run. While the arcade mode is just 5 stages with randomized boss encounters except for stage 5, the chronicle mode is essentially the game's endless mode, throwing new stages and bosses at you, letting you pick your path similar to the Darius games. This is where it clicked that the boss fights are randomized in the arcade mode until you get to the final boss on stage 5. And once you get beyond stage 5, the chronicle mode lets everything rip with no mercy. Graphics wise, Angel at Dusk is not going to be everyone's cup of tea, considering the body horror aspect of the game is very pronounced. The design from top to bottom does have astoundingly well drawn work, bearing resemblance to H.R. Giger and Clive Barker. You navigate through grotesque planes of existence and various enemies like body parts and other horrific abominations. It reminds me a lot of Abadox for the NES design wise. Outside of looking at the video game equivalent of playing through the liner notes of a death metal or grindcore record, the art style is pretty sick. The dark brooding style of the sprites and environments just looks gnarly, plainly put. Though it is a game that's going to either grab people right from the beginning or not. Bullet patterns do get pretty spicy here, with them starting out basic but quickly becoming more complex. The sheer amount of projectiles on screen at a time, including your own, make the screen erupt in color. And even when the action is intense, the frame rate doesn't drop heavily. The screen can get absolutely mental at times, though it stays solid outside of intentional parts before stat screens and the narration begin. Stage designs are very interesting here, with the motif of going through the human body and battling angels that look more like viruses and appendages. As you venture through each stage, the combinations of realistic looking bones and skin will immediately jump out at you. Many of the enemies you'll face will erupt into pools of blood and viscera, especially on the boss fights. The aesthetic of the game is through and through is pretty wild. Boss designs are also pretty out there, with them being angels of sorts, but once confronted look more like demons in various forms. The duality of good and evil is very much a theme with the enemy designs, and each boss fight gets increasingly more bizarre. Some of these battles YouTube will absolutely censor, but you can turn on the R15 mode, which will cover up some of those naughty bits in the game, as they do kind of come out of nowhere with its random nature. Sound-wise, Angel at Dusk is hauntingly beautiful with its soundtrack composed by Sakaba. The tunes are all over the place with an almost jazz fusion structure, and the tunes in the chronicle mode get more hype once you get past the initial 5 stages, becoming more metal as you get into the latter parts of the game. The piano and string tracks at first seem out of place for a shoot-em-up, but once you get locked in, the tunes begin to make sense from the oddly calming to erratic compositions. Sakaba also does the in-game audio, and the effects work is pretty sick here with some nice witty explosions and various shot audio types. The sound of charging your shots also has a great effect like something out of a sci-fi movie. Even without spoken words, the atmosphere is intense, and the audio makes the vibe rather intense as well. When upgrades fall from enemies, a jingle sound is made as it rains down. Everything about the audio in Angel at Dusk is awesome, especially as it breaks convention from what you would expect. Angel at Dusk is a unique experience when it comes to shoot 'em ups, and there isn't much like it that hits the same chords as this. While body horror aspects of it might turn some off, those willing to go into the fray shall be rewarded with some dynamic gameplay that evolves with you and certainly will challenge you regardless of skill level. The atmosphere and frenetic gameplay will snare you in almost immediately, and the randomized encounters of the Chronicle mode are a great way to keep the game going outside of the arcade mode. Upgrading your crafts will spice up the gameplay, and as you play you'll figure out more things to get to that flawless run, but be prepared for a battle. Angel at Dusk gets an 8 out of 10 and comes recommended to shoot 'em up fans and fans of more horror themed games, as this does lean into some grim and at times disturbing themes. The art style and gameplay in tandem is an experience, and it's something that shoot 'em up fans that aren't faint of heart should certainly check out. This is available on the Nintendo Switch and PC for $15 and is often on sale through Steam. And thanks so much for making it this far into the video, and if you find these videos helpful, that's awesome. Glad you use it as a resource. Check back often. We'll have more reviews and commentaries come up in the near future. But until then, take it easy and stay safe out there. I'll see you on the next one.